Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started, yeah? Yep, call this meeting to an order at 10:03. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, we have a lot of guests today. Welcome. Okay, let's go ahead and get started today with our February 3rd meeting. Let's start with the approval of minutes from our last meeting. Letting everyone look through those. Do we have any discussions or comments on the minutes? If not, could we get a motion to approve? Move to accept minutes. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? No, do we have a second? Chloe, okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Yep. Passes unanimously. Thank you. I have a few projects on the agenda today, so I know that at the end of the agenda we have a discussion of the bylaws. Let's see how we do. We do have several art pieces to look at and discuss, so we'll just kind of play it by ear. If we have time to get to that, we'll get to it, but we'll see. Okay. All right.
Refer them to a future meeting.
Yeah, we'll just kind of play it by ear. Well, let's get started. On our second item on the agenda, we have the Wichita Public Library project. We have the Rockwell branch that is going to be presenting first with art at 30% development, meaning this is their first presentation at the conceptual stage. Okay, so we're looking at concepts. Again, some of them might be more developed than others, but this is generally first presentation, 30% development design. So we have from Hutton, we have Allison Ray, welcome. And artists, we have Lindsay Coronado, Katie Lukes, Ellie Tompkins, Chillon Draper, and Sujin Lim. We have some people online. So we have Kate, Sujin, Jessica.
Cheers.
Okay. Allison, guide us through this, please.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you for having me back. For those of you that I haven't met, I'm Allison Raycoon. I'm with Hutton. We are the design builder for the three branches of the Wichita Public Libraries, Rockwell, Alfred, and Angelo, that are currently undergoing renovations and additions. We are also overseeing the art for these pieces, for these three branches. So there are 10 pieces spread out across the three branches. You will hear from 8 of the 10 artists today. I'll give you a little refresher of where we are. So as Armando mentioned, this is the Rockwell branch that you'll be hearing from first. The pieces that we are looking at, there are team window graphics. You will not be hearing from this today. Bergmall was awarded this commission, and they are still working on engaging with the teen advisory board with the library to gather input on some of their concepts. So you will hear from them next week. Then we have Lindsay Coronado here to talk about her piece over the fireplace. Katie Lukes will be joining us remotely to talk about a mural in the children's area. Then Kelly Tompkins will talk about her mural in the meeting room, and then Chillon Draper will be talking about his piece outside. And then Sujin Lim is also joining us remotely to talk about her sculpture outside. I'm going to go through all three branches right now just to give you an overview, and then we'll dive into the artists. At Angelo, just a reminder, so last month you heard some conceptual designs. So Armando and Gleo were awarded the window graphics right when you walk in. And then Eloise and Priscilla were awarded the signage outside. So you'll hear some more development from Ella today. And then at the Alfred branch, we have, again, these pieces are further along than Rockwell. So you'll hear, again, from Heather on her children's mural, and then from Jessica on the teen element. So we will move to Rockwell. So, Lindsay, do you want to come front?
Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Kernodle. I'm a local artist. For this project, I'm creating a piece that's going to go above the fireplace. So it's going to be like a warm, cozy area. My concept is to do a bas-relief sculpture that is like on top of a painted background. And the elements, as you can see, are like an explosion out from the center, and they all symbolize the effects of the library kind of spinning out into the community. So we were lucky enough to get to work with John Cleary, the Rockwell branch manager, and he helped like gather all kinds of history on the branch and also doing community surveys. So Michelle Enke, the special collections manager at the library, gathered articles about the history of the Rockwell branch and also the obituary for Ford Rockwell when he passed away. And so from that information, I gathered all kinds of elements that I wanted to like incorporate as little Easter eggs into the art piece. So you can see some of the quotes here, and also the community surveys that went out and like special elements from the that the community remembers about this branch. Here I kind of break it down like what I'm trying to include into the piece and how that's symbolized. So little Easter eggs like a 1976 written on one of the covers of the books. And a group of humans symbolizing the community and the beloved family activities available at the library. We have F.A. Rockwell written onto the spine of one of the books, and then a sailboat on the cover because that was one of his favorite activities. And then sycamore leaves symbolizing the park. Rockwell is a library that a lot of people walk up to and that they like feel as a neighborhood enhancement. One of the cool things about Ford Rockwell was he wanted to actually not have the park named after him and wanted to honor his wife, Barbara. So having the names Barbara and Edmore and things like that on the spines of the books. There are things that you might like not notice, but for people that are in that park or in that library, it will be meaningful. And then the background is kind of this like modern take on cozy sun rays streaming in, and also there's these really cool vaulted ceilings in the buildings. That's kind of the inspiration there. And then as far as what I plan to do with this sculptural element, it's like a two-part epoxy that I've worked with a lot, and you can form these really curvable shapes and then kind of sand them down. It's kind of a callback to in institutions of learning where there's these cool like architectural bas-relief elements that are like a single color, like you find in like old libraries in Europe, but done in a modern way with a modern take on it. And it's going to be above the fireplace. It's going to be more out of reach. So it's a place where you can have like a slight sculptural element that will introduce interesting textures, but not be too intrusive. You can kind of see there above that space. And that's it. Any questions?
Thanks, Lindsay. We got questions from anyone on council? Comments?
What's the size, dimension?
I'll have to double check, but I think it was 30 by 40. I scaled it to the max size for that space because I wanted to fill it out.
Chloe, you had a comment?
What's with the bas-relief and being close to a heat source? Would you be able to provide kind of recommended conservation actions for taking care of the object 10, 20 years from now?
Yes, yeah, I'll look into that to make sure that it's something that's going to hold up over time. But the particular epoxy that I'm hoping to work with is very, very durable. But I'll look into the chemical spec sheets to have recommendations.
What type of lighting are you thinking about highlighting with this with?
Say that again?
What type of lighting? Are you doing any lighting with this
I'm not involved in any of the lighting, but
So we are adding, this is an area that has the vaulted ceiling that she mentioned, and you can kind of see in this picture, in this 3D, there are existing, beams that run across there that have some structure in them. They're also for sprinkler lines and things like that, and we're mounting lights on them to shine light down into the space and up in the vaults and adding globe lights. So there's not direct light on this particular piece, but there's the ambient light of the branch being improved.
Any other comments? Look, I just want to say that I know that it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lindsay and Jenna, but I believe that now part of the process is that every artist has to provide a process for care and restoration for each piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, with all of the sheets, materials and.
Yeah. So that was a good catch on the heat source. Yeah. Thank you.
This will also be an electric fireplace, so, you know, there's controllability that will be available from that point.
Any more comments from the council?
Just reiterate, Bill's not here, he.
Thank you, Lindsay.
He gave feedback on a few different ones.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Okay, the next artist for the children's mural, Katie Lukes, is joining us remotely. Katie, I will flip through your slides, so just let me know when you're ready to move on.
Awesome. Hi, good morning from Chicago. I am tasked with designing the children's mural that'll go up above the bookshelves in the children's section. And as you can see, the design it's very long. These are stacked. They will be all next to each other. It's long and kind of short. So using that ratio, I have 3 different scenes that kind of lead into the next. And the overall theme I have thought of for this mural was a theme of exploration, but also just being immersed into a book and showing that visually. So, for example, each section has a different kid reading a book, and the book is about the, you know, kind of world that they're in. So going from left to right, that would be the first kid is reading about bees, and they're kind of in like a garden landscape outdoor area with flowers and bugs. John had mentioned bugs as an Easter egg as well as clouds, so I added that in. So then the first child's reading about bees, and then it goes kind of into a wetlands forest area. And above that area is a sky full of clouds, kind of like a sunset theme, and the kid is resting on the clouds while they're reading about them. And then it goes up into an outer space theme, and a kid and his dog are reading about outer space while they're floating around. And I have the, if you want to go to the next slide, or actually the next one after that, please. Thank you. On the far right, I kind of have the mural tapering off in a fun way. Instead of just being a straight line there, I have the sky kind of organically ending, which I think is a fun little play on the wall there. But yeah, overall, I just wanted to do 3 different scenes that kind of bled into the next. I wanted to use really bright, bold, fun colors for kids to look at. I wanted to be very, I know I didn't use ships for Ford Rockwell, which he loved, but I wanted to still play on the exploration theme here. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this. Another Easter egg I guess I should have mentioned is the whooping crane in the middle, which I know it is native, and the bird to the left there. And the bugs and the clouds, as I mentioned, were kind of Easter eggs as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this one.
Thanks, Katie. Do we have comments from council on Katie's work?
Dan, I really like the vibrancy of them. They're fun, whimsical. Really enjoy them.
Thanks, Grant. Anybody else? Okay, we'll move into the
Thank you.
next artist. We're moving just right along.
Our next piece is the mural that will go in the meeting room, the large meeting room at Rockwell, and Kelly Hawkins is joining us remotely as well. So, go ahead, Kelly.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I think so. You might be echoing. Let's see.
Okay. Can you hear me? Is it okay?
You're a little quiet. Can you get a little closer to the mic?
Yeah. I'll just talk. I'll talk. Is that any better?
Not really.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let me see if there's another option on my mic.
Scream the whole time. We might be able to.
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm gonna. Let me see here.
Can people
Is that,
also hear it? Yeah. Okay. We can. Move
Okay.
on. Yeah.
is that better?
We'll have to listen really well.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Okay. Let me. This setting. Is this any better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm so sorry about that. So yeah, I'm doing the mural for the community meeting room, and these are just some of the things how I researched. I visited the library just to see and feel the building in person, even though I didn't get to go in the room it'll be in. I attended the DAB2 meeting for input, received information, of course, from John Cleary. He's very helpful about the meeting room, things that happen, activities that happen in the room. He also sent me information about Ford Rockwell. And then I researched Ford and Barbara as well. And I love how that was a theme amongst the artists. And I also researched, I looked up like the mission and vision of the Wichita Arts and Cultural Services, the Project Wichita vision statement, guiding principles and focus areas, the city's mission, vision, and values, the library's mission, values, vision, service pillars, and focus areas, and then of course there was some input from the online library survey. You can go to the next slide. So themes and input. So Ford Rockwell loved that you can meet people in books. In general, these are just all across the board. Welcome, respect, reflect, and value differences and diversity. The future generation mindset, investing in our future, building for our future, lifelong learning, connected community, connection, discover, learn, connect, discover, learn, thrive, digital inclusion, clouds and bugs, quite a theme, which I love. And then how the Wichita Symphony and the Academy Award shorts are played in there as a way to incorporate more of the arts. You can go to the next one. So this is the design where I'm happy to make changes. This is where I'm at. And then next slide, we'll zoom in on different parts of it. So Mr. Ford Rockwell, he loved pirates along with the ships and sailing. So I wanted to incorporate a pirate for Ford. And it's someone that you can meet in books. That was one of his things, meeting people in books. He really wished more people would discover more of the arts in general, because he thought the library was such a great resource for all kinds of the arts. And so, like I mentioned, the Wichita Symphony being one of the ways that lives on in the branch, and at probably most of your branches. So I have those 5 lines to kind of represent a music staff, and the bugs, the little Easter eggs, so people go on bug hunts. But they are on the lines kind of like as if they are music notes on a music staff. And then the butterfly is for Barbara. It sort of makes a bee, since, like someone mentioned, he actually wanted the branch named after her. So next slide, please. And the three different mentions of the future, building for the future generation mindset. So I have on this side more of the future person, whether it's an astronaut, I say it's an astronaut, but it's another person that you can meet, represent the future. And then I also included that another way the arts are celebrated at the branch is with the Academy Award shorts. And so I have that film strip, and that's what that represents. And next slide, please. This is the center. It has the digital clouds representing connectivity and digital inclusion. Also, it ties into the cloud sculpture that'll be in front, and that was mentioned. And the open book, represents discovery and learning. My husband thought it looked a little bit like wings. It could be seen that way. I like how things can be interpreted in different ways and used or just seen in different ways. I love how people see different things in art. And next slide is just the whole image again.
Yeah, thank
And
you,
that's-
Kelly.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, do you have any other comments?
No, I was just going to say thank you, and I'm open to anything you'll have.
Thank you. Okay, do we have comments? Janelle?
Can you remind me, what's the scale?
It's about, I should have looked. It's around 7.5 feet tall. I think it's around 26 feet wide.
Go ahead.
This might be an obvious answer, but our packet coloring looks a little bit different than what's on the screen. It's just a little more muted on there. Do you know which one is more accurate?
The screen looks like what it looks like on my screen also, so, yeah. Kelly, do you have a way you could submit, either Pantone colors or what you're using, kind of some of the primaries so that we could confirm?
I'm glad to put, it would actually be better. I can get close on the Pantones, or I can.
Or if you're going to use like Sherwin-Williams or Richmond Moore or something like that, if you have paint, then fine.
Yeah, I mix some of my paint, so some of them aren't actually ones you can get off the shelf, but I can either make a color chart and mail it, or I can get as many that I can from Sherwin-Williams or Valspar or whatever. But
Yeah.
Since some of them I mix, they won't have, they're not all off the shelf. So, but I can do something. I'll figure it out how to get to you. Yes.
Any other comments? The only comment I had, and this is Armando speaking, it's just in regards to the astronaut image.
Uh-huh.
It took me a little while to read it as an astronaut, where the pirate, I'm like, oh, that's a pirate. The astronaut, it was a little bit more abstracted. I don't know, neither here nor there, but if that was your intention, maybe it could be worked a little bit or not.
Okay.
Just a comment.
It's kind of more symbolizing the future, a future look. Kind of looks like an astronaut, but my main point was that she was like the future. If you would like it to be more, I called her an astronaut just because I didn't know what else to say.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine. It was just again, a comment. It's, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Do we have our comments on this design? Everybody likes it? Okay, all right. Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and now we have Sheldon Draper. And he's here. Come up to the mic and,
Hey, nice hat.
oh, the hat, oh, yeah.
This, I, like, This is my design so far. Like I still like a really loose sketch. I guess leave room for suggestions and so in this design, like I wanted to visually represent themes of like education, diversity, and intellectual growth with a collage of painted images and text. I include like mathematical formulas and graphs and scientific instruments to reinforce themes of academic exploration. So I got like as you can see, I have figures, reading books and everything like kind of just like floating stuff represents like what they could potentially be reading. And like I'm doing all, I don't know, keep it pretty loose, like the sketch. I'm doing it all by hand, so I don't know, like, commit too much to the sketch, but I don't know, I hope you guys get the overall idea. So I'm including like computers, Wi-Fi symbols, and other digital elements to show a modern learning environment influenced by technology. And so, yeah, that's what I have so far. And then, any questions for me at this time?
Sheldon, is this the first time that you've done a commission for a public art project?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. How was that for you?
That's really cool. It's really a good learning experience so far. So, look, learning more as I go about this whole process. So,
Well, welcome to all of this.
glad to be here.
Yes. Okay. So this is essentially a sketch where you're presenting just like
That's my overall like I don't know, like I just yeah.
how developed do you think this is in terms of, or tell us about your process in kind of creating something so expressive? Like how developed do you think this is?
I like the idea overall itself is developed just as far as like it would just have more color and stuff and more like in the back like she just said like words, text, but that would actually be something like like from like look like up in the top right there, like I don't know. I'm still like open to suggestions of like what stuff I should include as far as like what I don't know kinds of text or like something from a book specifically. So I got a lot of stuff up there like I had to do with like learning and stuff because I don't know. It's what you do at a library, get away with learning and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have some thoughts and suggestions, but I want to hear from the council. Any comments so far?
The actual media you're gonna use for this?
Painting and collage, just mixed media.
That's not on canvas?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Okay, so you said, go ahead.
Size.
9 feet by 8 feet. Yes, yeah.
9 by 8 feet, and you say some canvas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And is that gonna be mounted, stretched, or is that gonna be applied to the wall? That's a really big canvas.
I'm probably maybe stretched, I just for transportation purposes. Okay, like that. I'm still planning with it. I don't know, but I think stretched.
Stretched. Okay.
Maybe it wouldn't. No, yeah, we do it.
Okay. Or comments from the council? Yeah, so I think some of the questions that that we're having, it's really about like the process and the presentation of the piece. And as you've seen with the other presentations, just to be able to kind of help us imagine what this is going to look like in this space, to be able to have like a rendering, like you see, you have the rendering of the wall itself, with perspective, and then you can have superimpose this image. That kind of help us understand what's the scale of it, what does it look like inside a room, in a wall, kind of human scale kind of helps you understand that too. And then just materials, right? Like what's your process? Like you said, is this going to be painted on panel or in canvas? Is it going to be painted on the wall like a mural? Because that also is going to help us determine the care for the piece, right? So if it's stretched in canvas, right, that's a specific way that needs to be cared for in the future versus if it's applied on wood board or if it's going to be on the wall directly. So those kind of details really help us kind of imagine what this is gonna look like in space,
Okay.
in real life, so to speak. And you mentioned also just being a mixed media, correct? Collage. So just list some materials, right, that you will use for that. Like, are you collaging paper? Are you collaging, I don't know, like printed materials from a magazine, or anything that you're gonna collage on there is also gonna help figure out how to, because these are pieces that are gonna go into a collection for the city. And part of what the city is tasked to do with that collection is to care for this art for, however long the city wants to keep the artwork, ideally, for ever. Yes, yes. So understanding if you're gonna do a collaging process, understanding what materials you're using for collaging. Are you gonna be using glue, decoupage, acrylic medium, any of those materials that you will be using, and a list of those will help figure out the care for the piece in the future. This one is a little different than usually. We have a lot of murals. There's a lot of sculptural work. Lindsay is presenting with kind of like a mixture of sculptural and painting. So mixed media, collage, they're, I would say, uncommon for some of these pieces, which is fine. It just means that it helps us to have as much information about how the piece was made so that we can care for it, in the future. So as much information as you can give us of how the piece is going to look, the scale, renderings, and the materials that you're using is going to help us kind of give you better feedback on the piece itself. We're here to look at the artwork and what you're presenting, and then we can give you feedback on that and the design itself. But in addition to that, we're also looking at how to care for this artwork for longevity. So we're also looking for that kind of information. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
All of that, yeah. Okay. Having said all of that, do we have any additional comments for Sheldon and this work? Brent?
I'd say, building on that, I like the direction it's going. I think it's just more developed out, and, filling in some gaps for us would help us, in our process. But,
I'm really excited to see the direction that this composition is taking, kind of starting at the top with this more imagined space, the free Wi-Fi, the clouds, the ship, and then anchoring in the center to, kind of active ways in which communities engage with the library. And then at the bottom, there's these individuals that are like deep, in thought reading. So I think it's a really exciting look at how, the community and individuals engage actively with the library.
Thank you.
Here's a word Sheldon's had today, just to.
Nice.
It does. I'm obviously a fan. But yeah, just again, to help you with the process. So right now, this is representing 30, we call it 30% development. So all that means is we're looking at concepts. Again, some artists have their concepts a lot more developed, really close to what it looks like. Some of them, maybe they're just a concept. This library will be back, I don't know, in a month or two, and you will be presenting close to 90% development. Is that correct, Allison?
Yeah.
60%, yeah. So that's going to give you some time to continue to develop this. And again, mostly help us see this in a real space, right? So renderings of this in space, all of that will help us. But you will be back for 60%, and then probably a third time with the final design. So there's room to make all these improvements in the presentation. One more time? Okay. So you'll got one more time.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. More comments from council?
I agree. I got like the overall concept. I think as well. The theme that seems to be kind of recurring is this cloud theme. If there's opportunities to maybe incorporate some of that too. I like the idea of some of these pieces kind of having that cloud theme in there. Might be something I'd kind of feedback to that. You have some in there, but I think that's
Clouds, yep. Cool. Thanks, Sheldon, and welcome. We'll see you again. All right.
So our sixth artist for Rockwell is Susan Lynch. She is doing the exterior sculpture. If you like clouds, you're in for a treat. So here we go.
Yeah.
Susan, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Susan, and nice to meet you again today. Yeah, I think I already went through about my approach not last time, so maybe we can go to the page 11.
I remember last one, you didn't see Rockwell. This is your first time. So Susan, this is a different group than you presented to at the DAB meeting. So if you could just walk through some of this, that would be helpful.
Okay, sure. Yeah, about the library, this is my previous work samples. So you can see like many cloud themes that I try to bring this the image of nature, like which is ephemeral with cloud, and then bring it into a permanent sculpture. So yeah, you can go to the next page. This is the site, Rockwell branch. And the sculpture will be installed outside of this building in the front as a welcoming piece. Next. Yeah, next. Yeah, I did some research about the neighborhood and how it will be located in the town. Yeah, the main theme I try to bring is this, the welcome and thinking about what's the library as serving for the community. Next. Okay, this is the site. I brought this theme of like silver lining, that the cloud is there and then the sunlight is behind of it. This brings like very positive and optimistic things that we can dream about. Next. Yeah, next. Yeah, these are some cloud drawings. Next. Today I want to share like two different designs that I developed so far. I will be able to finalize my design and the dimension of the sculpture after I receive the feedback from today's meeting and some cost estimates for footing of the sculpture and fabrication for each project. So I want to thank you for the sharing the community input, and I received some emails, so it was very helpful to embrace for the design process. And I'm also very happy that the cloud theme could work very well with the library. Next page. The title of this project is can be silver lining, and I think last time I somewhat brought the idea, and the library is a place where we dream, learn, and think and grow through our experience. So I believe these sprouts and plants in the design can serve as a strong metaphor for growth, while the cloud body figure represents dreaming of us. So the sculpture is meant to create a welcoming atmosphere for the visitors and evoke pleasant and uplifting feelings. Also, I believe it's important that this sculpture can invite children who visit the children's library as a landmark at the site. Next. Next. Yeah, I try to locate it on the site, and this rendering images shows like how it will appear in front of the library. I believe the color of the building can be very helpful to make this sculpture pops up. So I believe it can go along very well with the color. And the structure here now it's like 9 feet tall, the sculpture will be. Approximately. However, the final dimension will be decided. It will be decided once I learn how much it will cost about the footing. And then the sculpture will be casted with resin, and the metal armature will be installed inside. And my structural engineer, will provide a stamped structural engineering drawing about the sculpture and the footing. So also for maintenance, it is recommended to power wash the sculpture every 2 years, and the coating needs to be inspected every 7 to 10 years. Next. This is the second design that I developed. Next. The 3 clouds with rain, and rain is an essential element that nurture life on Earth. So the design aims to highlight how nature provides and sustains us. So the rain pipes in the sculpture features gradient color. Will feature the gradient colors. I can embrace some feedback or some directions about the color we can use or try different color themes here. And I hope this creates a visual effect of like that enhance the illusion of rainfalls. I see here rain as a metaphor for the library, just like rain nurtures the earth, the library nurtures knowledge and growth to us in the neighborhood. In this rendering, the height of sculpture will be, we can see the next image. Yeah. This is about 15 feet tall here, so it can be little go above the first floor, but again, I will need to get the estimate for the footing so I can finalize the dimension of the sculpture within the budget. So also this sculpture will be fabricated with aluminum and will be painted with Matthews Street paint system. The durability of this Matthews Strip paint system is equivalent to the automobile paint quality. I have been discussing with Alison about pouring concrete for the footing while we pour the concrete for the library's sidewalk at the same time. So I hope this helps to save the cost and we can maximize the scale of the sculpture. Yeah. I will be very happy to get any feedback and discuss about the concept further. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sujin. Comments, questions?
You said how tall was design B, height of that?
The first design was 9 feet tall, and this one is 15 feet tall, but this is not fixed yet, as I explained.
So Jen, excuse me,
Yes.
this is Janelle. I was got to be on the selections committee, and so saw your proposal before, and I actually live in the neighborhood as well. And so as I drive by and see the construction every day, I've been really excited and been imagining this cloud child sculpture. So because I can't wait, but so I'm surprised to see this option B, and I just kind of wanted to hear your thought process of how you came to have with this second design. And if I guess that my question being that given the cost restraints and stuff, if this is more your direction that you're leaning to, and if so, why, or where your thoughts and feelings are between the two?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think I'm more leaning toward the first design, actually. That was something like really I was into. Maybe we can go to the design, the slide. Yeah, I think the sprout and plants here is really going well with the library theme about the growth and learning. So I really like it. Also, at the same time, for the children, I think this can be a really nice landmark that can be a gravity to bringing people more, and especially for children being excited. But the second one, I somewhat thought one thing is that I thought it could be great having something very tall for the site, but I was not sure how to create a taller version with this within the budget. That's why I somehow developed the clouds, like bringing up with these pipes up high. So as a landmark, I think it can have visual impact with height. However, for somehow more like intimate and more like, how to say, like more, like first design can have like attraction as well in a way. So these two are in a way it's a bit different, and I believe like both can have like great concept in it and can have like visual impact as well, but in little bit different way, I feel. And I will be happy to hear any feedback about it.
Thank
Your
you.
thoughts? I mean, you're living the neighborhood. What are your?
Yeah, thank you. Being that this is so, in a residential neighborhood, and with the children's park right next door and the walking, I actually like, typically I'm all for scale and find that intriguing, but I really like the intimacy of this sculpture that kind of brings that focus more down and grounded into the space. And I know one of the reasons, her work was selected, that concept of this cloud with the head is just like that, really emphasizing that creative space and that idea of exploration and thinking bigger, and expanding. So I just really love your work, Sujan, and I personally am still drawn to your original concept that you had presented, and don't know that location really demands that extra height and scale.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate it.
You go back to that rendering of option B. I think that scale is a little bit off too. I imagine that parapet was probably 18 feet tall.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that was truly a 30, 40 foot tall sculpture, then I might say that looks better.
Right.
But the fact that it's going to be actually at
That's what I
the
think.
most at the top of the parapet, so I think I like option A as well.
Yeah, I have similar questions about just the scale of the render, like I want to see a more like real scale, right? And also just a location. It would be helpful to have a map where, from an aerial view, where we know where this is gonna go, the plan area. For the beginning, there was a map.
Yeah, so, for the addition, it's coming right here and. Yeah. The way that we got that outline, but yeah, the addition's coming right here. And then we'll sit right here. So this is 9th Street for everybody. Got Woodlawn out here, Edgemore down here. And then the entrance to Edgemore Park. Community centers over here. So if that helps. This street gets, you can comment on this, to the neighbor to my experience, it gets equal traffic from both directions, east and west.
Very much so. It's high traffic.
I guess just in terms of envision, kind of seeing it in space, just to be able to see different views of the sculpture from different angles could be helpful, just to understand the scale of the pieces.
Yes, sure. I think that's great idea. And if someone can provide the photos of like different angles for the site, and I can produce the rendering images and for the scale.
Thank you.
Sure.
Do we have more comments on the both designs? What you're responding to the most?
Sure.
Especially people with children in the room. Chloe?
I do think that with option A, I mean, well, first of all, it's great to be introduced to your work, and thank you. But really, when looking at option A, I immediately thought of like great public art creates a sense of belonging. And to me, the sculpture and proposed installation does that, right? It made me think of kind of the head of the clouds concept. I love the cloud child concept. And I think it's a sculpture that would be perceived as iconic for the site and for Wichita. So this creates more of a belonging, I think, than option B, although I love the scale and color.
An interesting
Mm.
solution.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you
That's
so
French.
much.
I was just gonna add, I lean towards this one as well for the same reasons, kind of that idea that head in the clouds, daydreaming or imagination and with the children's garden. I think that's a really powerful piece.
Mm.
She said she's gonna have a structural engineer for the foundation, but kids are gonna be crawling all over those smaller pieces, so just make sure it's designed for that.
Did you catch that, Shujan?
Yeah, yeah. I think this resin is like pretty durable, like as almost strong as almost like a metal. So I think that will be fine about the durability and strength. But yeah, I will make sure to check about what's going to happen if children climb for the plants. Yeah.
I had a question about the footing, and I'm sure this is in the RFQ, so I apologize. Is the cost of the footing in part of the art budget? Okay. Yes,
If I can just chime in with Bill's comment
yes.
on this. He thought they were both nice, but he prefers option B. Not sure he understands the entry art sketches. Curious if they're musings or doodles, but just looks forward to the final piece. But he did select option B as his preference.
Okay. Thank you.
And I don't know if Susan, sorry, I'm gonna go back to the fittings real quick. She said she's actually been in touch with the concrete shop for the sidewalks at the site and looking to for some efficiencies and costs to utilize them at the same time they're on site for
Gotcha.
fittings so that more of the budget can go towards the sculpture.
Smart.
Yeah. And so
She's been in contact with them.
Okay.
sorry, semi-related question, is lighting part of this?
That will be part of her scope as well.
Part of the art? But it is planned to be as this to some extent.
Can you answer that question? Did you hear that?
I'm sorry, it was really chopped. Could you
The question
repeat?
was about any planned lighting around the sculpture.
Lighting? It's about lighting?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be great if we can have lighting in the around, like about 4 to 6 from our different direction. But that's not a part of artist scope. At this moment, I don't have
We'll work through that.
any budget for that.
Just
But
as a
if
side note,
yeah, if the for the landscape, if you can install for the sculpture, the lighting, if we can install lightings for sculpture, that would be great. Yeah.
I just had a side note as for us as council, lighting continues to be an element in most of the pieces that is brought up. And there's this question of like, is it part of the artist scope? Is it part of the landscaping? Is it part of the overall renovation? So I think there's something there there's a wrinkle there that we need to figure out.
As a general rule, it's included in the art budget itself, so it falls within the artist's responsibility to that budget. There are projects in which we have pulled construction funds to do that because it makes sense. If other lighting is being done at the same time. But as a general rule, it's our budget.
Something to consider, I guess, as we're thinking about allocating monies to specific pieces, right? Make sure that there's enough there for all the things, right? Because now we're talking about footings, we're talking about lighting, we're talking about installation,
Footings,
and that can eat up a budget so quickly.
documentation,
Okay.
signage.
Okay. Just things for us to kind of think about as we continue to shape this, our program. Yeah. Okay, any more questions about this specific design or comments? Well, it looks like the council is leaning towards the option 1, Sujan.
Okay,
At least that's
sounds
what
great.
that's what I gathered from comments. There's some questions about lighting and what that might look like. It makes sense to consider lighting for a piece outdoors, especially something that is gonna be of this scale. So that's a conversation to continue to have And, yeah,
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to hear the feedback about the design between the two. And yeah, once I get the update for the concrete footing, I will also share the updates. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and that was the end of the first item, right?
Yes, so there's a typo in the recommended action. It should read 30%.
30%, right? Okay. Okay, so now, we're ready to, vote on this second item, or we'll get to you soon. Okay. We gotta vote first. The recommended action for this is to approve the 30% public art conceptual designs as presented. Obviously, there's a lot of comments that were given. Does anyone want to entertain a motion?
To approve as presented.
As presented, okay. Any discussion on the motion? Any amendments?
Need to clarify the last one that we preferring option one, or need to go into that specificity.
So maybe this is one where we have to kind of go,
Have some general language with feedback provided for consideration,
for consideration.
development of them, because these designs will come back for final approval.
Okay, so do you want to amend your?
Sure. Approve as presented with feedback and notes as commented.
All those in favor?
Did we have a second?
Oh, sorry, second, yes, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Oh, okay, it passes unanimously. And thank you to all the artists who presented on this first go around. Good job. Thank you. Okay, so now we can move on to item number 3. Alison will stay there, and now we're gonna move into the Wichita Public Library, Angelo and Alford branches.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, everyone, we were here last month to present the preliminary design. Routines. And so you're seeing an update, Angelo, there are 2 pieces there. You'll see an update on the exterior sculpture letters and then Alford, and you will see an update on the children's mural and the teen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ella Monique Backus. What's that?
Welcome back.
Hey. Priscilla is not able to join us today, but I can speak for both of us. Let's see. So our concept, we were tasked with this designing exterior signage that connected to the Divine Nine, which are 9 African-American fraternities and sororities. And so in this picture, one of the things that we found as a unifying factor across all of these organizations is that a lot of times when people graduate, they get custom-made kente stoles that they wear with their, just like with their honor cords for graduation. So no matter what fraternity or sorority you're in, if you're in these Divine Nine, these are all like what you can get with your cap and gown. And then we also looked at fabric from across the African continent, and we took some inspiration from that. And so the designs we came up with, there's different mascots and motifs that are significant to the different groups. So with the Alpha Phi Alpha, their mascot is the Sphinx. So we found this textile that's just Egypt inspired. So it's kind of like the Pharaonic headdress. And then we also pulled a textile from the Congo, Kuba cloth from the Congo. And then with the AKAs, they're called Sisters of the Vine because they have the ivy leaf. And so this was a design that Priscilla did. And then there's also like this Ankara fabric from Nigeria, which is like a wax type of print. The deltas, they have a red elephant as part of their mascot. And so we found this printed fabric from Zimbabwe. And this particular elephant, the way it's done was like in a bunch of different textiles there. So like, oh, there's the elephant. With the Omega Sci-Fi, we have kind of like a Ghana inspired textile, sort of like the Ankara. But you know, what we'll have when you see our letters, it's those lines like that were on those kente soles. And then for the iotas, we have this is like a rug from Morocco. So they have like the diamond uh, pattern. Their logo has like a diamond in it. So that's where we got that. And then for the Sigmas, this is a kente from Ghana. And then for the Zetas, I should be pointing to these things right here. This is Zetas. There's this fabric. It's an Ankara fabric too, but it's called Speedbird. But the Zetas have the dove. So we just put a dove in there. But usually it would be, I think it's a swallow that's in this little oval in that particular textile. We changed the bird. And then this is, oh my goodness, I can't think of the name. Okay, I'm gonna go back one slide so I can remember. What are they called? I can't even think, y'all. I'm sorry. No caffeine today. This sorority, I can't think of the name of it right now. But we used South African textile, and then we used another Ankara that you can see in Kenya, but all over the continent. And then the last one is a mud cloth from Mali. So can't think of that fraternity either. I should have these all memorized. But these are the dates by which they were incorporated. So that's how we determine like the order that we would put them in. And then Maya Angelou was an AKA, so that has significance for how we organize the designs. And then every sorority fraternity has a brother or sister group, so that's kind of how we decided how we would arrange it. So for the AKAs, we use that for Maya, and then Alpha Phi Alpha we use for Angelo, and the one pattern is inside, one is on the outside, and then each letter has its own. Each sorority fraternity has its own letter. So then those lines are the thing that is consistent throughout in their Greek letters. And then this is just looking the other direction. You just don't see the Greek letters that would appear. And then we're gonna make them out of hot dip galvanized powder coated steel and mural cloth. So this is kind of the dimensions that you can get an idea. The top letters are 12 inches tall. And then, you know, we address the issue with the platform. There's something for them to stand on that would be sturdy. And then the letters themselves are 24 inches. And we stretched everything out. So it's about 14.5 feet. So this gives you an idea of the dimensions of the letters. And then we have this picture where you can kind of see a rendering of what it would look like in the library. It's set on a concrete footing, and we were told that we needed to make it so that the installation isn't visible. So when the letters are fabricated, we'll have rods that go in the under part of the letter, and we'll drill holes in the concrete, use construction grade adhesive, and keep those bolts into the foundation. And then this is looking another direction. So that's basically it. That's left, right? Okay, so that's the design. Sorry, I got rid of those groups. That's terrible. I should have wrote them all down.
We don't know them either, so
You
it's
don't know them
okay.
either, it's okay. They know. I'm like, you
Okay, any comments from the council? Janelle?
Question on the base of it, is it gold and silver or what is the library space?
Yeah, it's gold and white. So the library letters are white, both like a glossy paint. Yeah, but it'll be like automotive level, you know, powder coated. Yeah, so not a gold that's so glossy, it's like a mirror, or like shiny, but when you get to mirror level, then it's easier to scratch, so right before that.
Okay.
Question.
Yes.
How did you determine the height of the sculpture of the signage off the ground?
You know, it's just, I think some of that has to do with mowing and trying to make sure that the letters don't get hit when they come around with the lawnmower. So it's either trade-off, either you have to go wider and, you know, if it's a ground level, just wider so it can't hit, or raise it up so the mower won't hit it. So it's just kind of like maybe 4 to 6 inches height. Mhm.
That's the base,
The concrete.
the concrete
Yeah.
base. Comments?
You'll had some comments on this one, so bear with me while I read from him. I'm curious how the art on the edges of the letters will be applied. You mentioned mural cloth. Can you elaborate?
Oh, yeah, so basically where you see the textiles and all of that we showed, those are gonna be painted. And then mural cloth is like, everything's synthetic, so it doesn't change or warp or anything like that. So a lot of times when I use mural cloth, half people think it's just painted directly, there's no like detectable, like here's where it starts or something, other than, you know, there'll be these colors, so. Yeah, it's painted with acrylic paint, like mural level acrylic paint, and then it's attached to the letters permanently.
Bill would love some assurance on longevity and hoping it won't fade. Can you speak to like color fading or?
No, there's no fading because it's like UV mixed in with the paint, you know, so it's like the best quality acrylic that you can get. I feel better about this acrylic than I do like house paint, you know? I would eat it if I could, because I love it.
No.
Or don't need it, but it's good.
I mean, a couple more comments here. Glad the letters were shifted into alignment. Curious which typeface is intended to be used, as the dimensional rendering uses one font and the illustrated rendering uses another font.
I'm not sure on which font this is, but I definitely know it has to be sans serif because that makes things more complicated. So, I can't tell him the name of the font for sure. It would just be very.
Do you know which one will be the final?
You said there's a difference between, oh, this is the final one. This one, is just to show you kind of like the dimension, yes. So that's the only purpose for that. It'll be closer to this. Mhm. Wait a minute. Actually, scratch that, rewind it, mix it around the other way. This is from the fabricator, so the letters will probably be closer to this. The other one is just like, came from our minds, so this is closer to the style of the letters. Yes, I had to
So
think
the
about it.
dimensional rendering is the correct font
Yes,
versus the illustrated.
that's it. Thank you. I'm like, wait a minute. Keep me up here for 5 more seconds so I can remember. Okay, that's it. This is closer. Mhm. Do you have another one?
That was all.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Additional comments from council? I just had a little nitpicky comment, and it has to do just with for fabric patterns. Looking at the one with the bird.
Mhm.
Out of all of them, they're all very graphic, and that's the only one that kind of stands out as this discernible, like 3-dimensional birds. It stuck out to me, you know, that it's different and the graphic nature.
Okay.
Like every other design, it's, you know, very flat, very graphic, and that one has a 2-dimensional element.
Okay.
That's the only thing that came up. I wonder if there's a way to, for the sake of all having the same kind of flat
Yes.
graphic.
The quickest and easiest thing to do would be to shrink the bird down so that it fits into the oval. And then it doesn't appear as if it's flying off of the pattern. So in the real speed bird textile, the bird stays in the oval. So we were like, oh, it's a bird that takes flight. And you know, all my family is like Zeta. So I had to be like, let me see if I can really hook it up. But I can't. So let me put the bird smaller and I'll keep it in a little, and that will help, I think, make it more consistent.
That was the only.
Still an illustrated bird. But yeah, that can happen.
We could have something.
Or comments on the design? installation. I just, change, just to clarify, you mentioned the hardware to install it. You had mentioned brackets before, right? And you said there's gonna be rods,
Right, because,
so they're invisible.
right, that was the whole
Yeah.
thing about making it so it's unseen. Oh.
Thought I got that. Okay, well, if there's no more comment.
Okay.
There you go. Are there no more comments, or we can move on to the next artist? Thanks, Ella.
Can I go this way? Yeah, okay.
All right, the next artist will be Heather Byers to talk about the Albert.
All right. Yeah, so Heather Byers, this is the second time in front of the Art Council. Happy that we were able to actually do it in person this time, although my 9-year-old did enjoy listening in for the last one. So I've gotten pretty close to just, I mean, this is the design. I did surveys to 600 students at 3 different elementary schools in the area, got lots of great feedback. The general concept, we're using these backpacks kind of as a way to show different personalities, different interests, different hobbies of the kids in the area. And they told me all about their interests and all about their hobbies. So I have some slides that I've just cut up the mural itself into like closer sections because it is 7 feet tall, 47 feet long. Looking at a single image, you can't really, see the detail very much. A note before I kind of start going in the closer up ones, the background images, they're all kind of like little post-it notes is what it's, meant to look like. And these are submissions from students. So these are the actual drawings that some of the kids drew on those surveys that I passed out. I thought it would be really great to include their artwork. Again, my priority in public art always is to give a sense of ownership to the space itself. This is a mural that I'm doing for the library, for the kids in the neighborhood. It's theirs, it's not mine. So I really liked the idea of including their work in it as well. This is kind of what it's going to look like once everything is done. I think there will probably be some different furniture, some different features in the library itself, but the book stacks and things, as far as I'm aware, are basically going to be in the same location. So up first, I went with kind of an aviation design on one of them that ties to Wichita at large, obviously, but also the namesake of the library itself. A reminder that the backpacks themselves are going to be about 6 feet tall, so these little detail pieces are going to be a little easier to see. If I had to guess, this wall right here, the backpack looks like it's probably 2.5 feet tall, so much bigger. So like the little beaded keychain says "to the stars," that's going to be a lot more visible in the final version. The one next to it is going to be for a kid who loves science. We've got some nature, some leaves, little chemistry pieces, animal kind of face on the backpack itself, sort of biology stuff. And then if you kind of have a minute to look at some of those pieces in the background, I personally love the little weirdo robot guy. The next one is going to be kind of a focus on friends and family. A lot of the respondents had that as kind of their thing. They spend time with their siblings, or they like to go visit grandma's house, or talk to their friends at recess, that kind of stuff. So I did kind of a little crocheted guy, like maybe grandma made that for them and they have it on their backpack. In the photo, in the little clear pocket in the front, there's a family photo where its face is mostly turned away, kind of. So it's not a specific family, but it could be, anybody's family. And then there's like a little note from a friend, stuff like that. The next one is animals. Everybody wanted to tell me all about their pets, and they like playing with their dogs, and they like, my daughter, her bunny. And yeah, I had lots of interest in animals outside of just pets too. So put in little keychains and little patches and things wherever we could. The background, again, there's like a little dragon, and at the bottom, the one with the Under the Yellow Backpack was one of my favorites because there was a kid that every single answer, they said something reading, like, what do you like to do? Read, what do you want to do when you're outside? Read, what do you want to do when you're inside? Read, and then how can you change the world? By reading. And what do you want to be when you grow up? A library master. And that was the drawing that they did. So that one was a fun one to include. The next one, travel. A lot of kids had lots of ideas of different places they wanted to travel, where they want to visit just for fun or also visiting family. Of course, in Wichita generally, but in that neighborhood, there's lots of kids that have family in Mexico, so that was a very common response to a visiting family in Mexico. Some kids were less excited about the library or school or anything, and they just want to go at home. So there's the little house key with just a house on it, because they didn't really want to go and travel anywhere. So I included those guys in there too. It might be surprising, but I got a lot of kids who are interested in gaming. So this backpack here has kind of some references to that. There's the video games, the little chargers, but there were ones that like the more analog stuff too. So we've got chess and Rubik's Cube, and some kids said like card games and things. So I tried to find ways to incorporate both types of gaming. Sports. This one, yeah, kids that had different activities that they take part in after school, different goals for themselves, the things that they want to be. There was somebody who wants to be Kobe Bryant when they grow up. So yeah, lots of different things. We've got like the real sporty water bottle that says, that you keep track of your water as you go, and like you're almost there and keep going. And I don't know if you've seen those or not. More drawings in the background. The last one, there were a lot of kids who were like, I just want to sleep. I like being cozy. I want to be at the chairs at the library. They weren't super interested in a lot of other things. So this is our little like sleepy kid just wants to go home and take a nap backpack. But I did take the opportunity there to include a lot of like kind of classic children's books. So that's what that little paper is, a list of like cozy up with a good book and some different books that have kind of been in the world of children's literature for a while. Yeah, lots of kids that were interested in cooking and food. So, those kinds of themes there too. Some cooking utensils. The little patches are actually like historic from like Girl Scouts type badges and stuff. So some of them go back to like 1954. So another kind of thing that, while this is very child focused, it's also going to be a space that's used intergenerationally. Parents and grandparents are the ones taking their kids to the library. So where I could include some stuff that those families would also be able to kind of share with their child, I did that as well. So that would be one that, who knows, maybe somebody's grandma was a Girl Scout and she'll recognize that from when, she was younger. There were a lot of kids interested in art. So that's that next one. Art supplies, paint, little sewing keychain. That one's actually like a tape measure. Yeah, lots of kids who are very interested in that kind of stuff as well. More background drawings to look at. And then I think this is the last, since we're just doing two at a time. There were some kids that were more interested in like performing arts and celebrity and that kind of stuff. So for that one, we've got more fashion and sparkly things. There's the little microphone, those kinds of things on there. And then the last one was more kind of your like weird outdoorsy kid. There were kids who wanted to look at bugs and who wanted to just get dirty and, play and not really have to come inside and read books ever. So those ones, we've got a little keychain magnifying glass and a scorpion kind of trapped in resin on a keychain. My daughter suggested doing their field notebooks so they can draw pictures of the stuff that they see while they're out there too. So, and pressed flowers, that kind of stuff. So that was very important too. Kind of going through and looking. I could tell you a story about almost every single one of these drawings in the background. It would take all day. So I'm not going to do that right now. But just know that the ones that are chosen on those little Post-it notes, there were a lot of kids who had a lot of things to say. So it was really nice to be able to find a way to incorporate their work. As far as the logistics, most of the equipment, since I do murals all the time, a lot of it is stuff that I'm gonna have already. So the budget doesn't really have too much of an impact. The stuff that's gonna get used up though, tape, paint. I tend to use Liquitex to kind of thicken up the paint a little bit. I love a thick paint. So those are some of the things that I have to consider cost-wise. I with Spectrum Paint, gave them a call, figured out like what the cost will be for the interior paint that I prefer to use, and then these are the colors that we're using. So kind of got all of that pulled out. The little marks on the circle chart, 3 of them have marks on them. Those are colors that Hutton was already planning on using in the interior. So those were kind of a starting point for me, and then adding more things that I felt like coordinated well. And that is about it. So if you have any questions.
Thanks, Heather.
Yep.
Do we have comments from council? Questions?
I think that the level of research that you've done on this and recognizing your audience and then representing them through backpacks is just remarkable.
I appreciate it.
Janelle?
Yeah, I'm obsessed. I think you've got your work cut out for you.
Yeah.
Huge. Super nitpicky, just a comment, take it or leave it. I love all the different themes and everything. On the travel one, I don't know why my eye was drawn to the Canadian leaf, and that was my first, like, I was like, huh, I wonder why Canada, and then I got it in 2 seconds, like, oh, travel. So not that I'm opposed to that, but I wonder if that's an option, not that it's not
Like shrink it down.
be overdone, but
next to it.
maybe
or-
you throw a Wichita flag pin on there too for
Yeah.
that representation at home, and for those that's travel is more
Well, if
across
some
town.
kids wanted to just be at home anyway. Yeah.
Just, I don't know why that one just kind of spoke out,
Yeah.
but
For sure.
I love it.
For sure.
Kind of follow up what Janelle said too, that your first backpack had Wichita ABC theme and Cosmos here.
Yeah.
I think I saw animal one, like
The zoo.
I almost wonder if there's more opportunities to include some of those, like the
There
science
might
one,
be.
could you get an exploration place on there?
Right. Yeah.
Like
Exploration
Janelle said,
on
the
the
travel
science
one, could you do Kansas Parks to tag or something like that?
Mhm, mhm.
I think that might be kind of neat to kind of harken back to some of the things locally. As a child, I said, well, what's Exploration Place, or what's this aviation museum? It might
Right.
spark some
Right.
intrigue and tie back to the community.
New Music Theater of Wichita for the
Yeah.
performing.
Yeah. 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 That would be very doable.
Hopefully we can get a list of like cultural institutions that the city works with.
Okay. I guess the question I would have is, I mean, if it's ones that the city's already working with, is there permissions of, something like that I would need to, talk with somebody at each one and make sure they don't hate the backpacks and not want anything to do with it, just in case. So I know like the Aviation Museum, I've been working with them on another project anyway, so I felt pretty confident that I could just be like, hey Ben, what do you think? And then same with the zoo, I have connections there.
That's another thing I'll coordinate. We're on contract with most of them anyway.
Sure.
Conversations.
Okay, okay.
If the desire from the design council is to include.
Sure.
More comments from council? I think the something really powerful about this piece is all the information that you've added, right? You can really get lost and get to know your city and get some, and till these personalities, like Chloe said. I immediately found myself trying to say, which one am I?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I think I'm the food backpack for sure. And I'm a grown man, so I can imagine a kid like
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
really excited about it
right.
and kind of getting lost and looking at all the details. So
Yeah,
yeah, very incredible. Thank you. Thought that you put into that. Okay. So if there are no more comments from council, then we can move on to the next artist. Thank you so much, Heather. Yeah, great job.
Today, Jessica Wolf, she is doing the hanging sculpture in area at Alberts. Jessica, can you hear me?
There we go. Jessica, can you hear us?
How about now?
Yes,
There you go.
loud and clear.
I'm sorry. Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Oh, good, good. Okay. Hello from Cincinnati. Okay. So we'll just start here. You can see I took the rendering from Hutton and stuck my little maquette in there so you can see that little peak of the sculpture from the rest of the main area. Go on to the next. And then this was our original concept rendering. I think we can flip through the first few of these pretty quick. And then shapes, again, are pulled from the architecture itself. And then here we see the shapes in the maquette. And since the last time I saw you guys, I've completed the maquette more and filled in the whole ceiling. So we can see that. Next one. And then this is two different views in the room. That image on the left is like if you're standing with your back to that corner, looking out towards the main area of the library. And then can you play a video? You can just kind of get a sense of the movement.
Is it on this slide, Jessica?
Yeah.
I don't think the video came through, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. I can send it separately if you like. So we can go on to the next one. So this is the color that we talked about. These are, the color is achieved through translucent vinyl. And then on that image on the left, I just digitally superimposed the colors onto those pieces. Next one. And again, these are clear acrylic sheets that are laminated with translucent vinyl. And this vinyl is made for outdoor permanent signs. So it's made to be very durable and UV protected and should keep its color. And then all of the pieces will be attached together and hanging from the ceiling with thin braided steel cable. I think the thinnest that I can get is the 1/32 inch. So try to get it as invisible as possible. Next one. And then these are some life-size samples that I did in my studio just to kind of see what the wording would look like on the pieces. So this is laser engraved into the acrylic, and then the vinyl is laminated on the other side. Go on the next one. And this is a sampling of some of the words that I got from the teens. So these are all words, again, that they want to use to describe themselves or how they want to be seen by the world. And we also had the idea to translate these words into different languages, including Spanish and Vietnamese. And the next one. And then this is the biggest change from the last time we met. I went through a real brain racking process trying to figure out how to build a framework that could be suspended from the ceiling underneath
the tiles and attached to the supports on the upside of the tiles. And I just kept going back and forth. And this framework basically was just going to take up all of the weight and all of the budget. So I went back and figured out that we can get these hooks that attach to the ceiling tile grid system itself, which is already in place. And so each strand would have its own piece of hardware, like is pictured here, and that would attach to the metal grid on the frame. And since each strand weighs less than a pound a piece, we're well under the max capacity for what this grid system can hold. I did run it by a structural engineer, and he said, yep, we see this all the time. That's no problem. So if you want to go to the next one. So this shows the teal pieces represent each strand of artwork. And so basically I have these placed in the center of each, kind of outlining each ceiling tile, which is 2 feet square. I do have them surrounding the light panels as well. But if we want to create some more space around those light panels, we can just remove those strands that are directly next to the light panels. But as it is now, this is about 200 strands. And so we cover pretty much the entire system, or the entire ceiling. And next one. And then this shows what typically the ceiling grid system looks like from the top side. And this shows that 12 gauge wire is what attaches the grid system to the structural ceiling. And 12 gauge wire typically can hold a max load of 95 pounds. So again, with each strand weighing about 12 ounces a piece over 475 square feet, we're well under the capacity for the load limit. And the next one, yep, just a breakdown of the budget. And then there's a link there with a more detailed budget if you need to see that. And I think that's all I've got. So I'd love to hear your feedback.
Great, thanks, Jessica. Okay, comments? Yeah.
Jessica, this is Janelle. Again, I was on the selections committee and excited to see your work come to life. From your original concept rendering, and this might be my interpretation, but I kind of envisioned maybe less pieces, but larger scale, making one of the things we talked about in reflections is how that light coming through those windows will reflect throughout that space, and like those words
right
be pronounced. So just my question to you is, what is the average size of these pieces, the scale, and if this is different than your original vision, or if this is what you had pictured all along, and kind of like how you see that?
Okay. Yeah, the size of the pieces vary. Like on the long end, they vary from like 2 feet to 10 inches, I think. So there's a variety of sizes, and they're just kind of mixed in. Although to achieve that kind of domed effect was really what I really want to happen. So you get kind of this umbrella shape over top of you when you're in the space. Yeah, that's what I was hoping to show with that video, so you could kind of see what it feels like to go inside of the room. So the pieces are smaller and closer to the ceiling in the center, and then they get kind of larger and further down from the ceiling as they go out.
Jessica, do you have the video? You could always share your screen. Are you able to pull that up and show everyone?
Yeah, let me see.
You can stop sharing. Yeah.
Okay, can we see that?
Yes.
Oops. Now this movement that you're going to see is much more extreme than what it would be in real life because the pieces are so small and light. And then the next shot will show you kind of walking into the space. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the dome doesn't necessarily translate in the photos. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Jessica, this is Chloe. Thank you for all your work on this and for working with the architectural needs of the space. Just a suggestion to make sure that this is to fire code with objects hanging from the ceiling. But it looks like you have a great plan. The building is really circled, so that.
I'm sorry if there was a question there. I couldn't quite hear it.
It was just a suggestion to make sure it's to fire code, which it sounds like it will be.
Oh, okay, yes.
This actual building is not accurate, but we're shrinking it different. So we got some buildings confused. But yes, I think we'll be okay.
Yes, I did notice when we went to visit the site when I was there in January that there are no sprinklers in that room.
Bill did have some comments on this, so sorry, bear with me, Jessica, because this is Lindsay reading on behalf of Bill, one of the committee council members who's
Okay.
not. So bear with me, I can ask some of his questions, but I'm not sure I know his full background. But he is concerned that this one might still be a little bit underdeveloped in design, and he was not sure that the dome effect is as perceptible as you indicated, but I do think the videos that you just showed really helped it showcase that a little bit. And maybe one concern that hopefully you can address or consider is that the laminating process is adequate. His experience is that exposed edges over time start to separate and curl, especially considering the movement that they might interact with. So just make sure you consider the edges of it to make sure that they can withstand longevity.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the video was helpful to kind of help us see it in space.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned here there's words that are etched onto the acrylic, and then you talked about potentially adding more languages. Can you just talk more about how you're going to make, you're going to discern what languages to use, or if, are you set on the ones that you listed so far?
Yeah, so when I met with the teen advisory board, the librarian there said that she would help me figure out like some common languages used by the community. And I hadn't heard back from her yet, but actually Heather there helped me and mentioned that Spanish is a language often used, and also Vietnamese. So I could check back in with the librarian about that and make sure we have all the languages represented that we need.
Yeah, no, I think you're on the right track with
Okay.
in connecting with the librarian. You know, with just a word of caution, which I'm sure you know you're aware of this, but when you're working with languages that are not your own, just to check and double check and triple check.
Sure.
Right, spellings and that kind of a thing.
Yes. Yeah, especially with the Vietnamese, I did go back and like run it through Google Translate and then run it through Google Translate the other way. And there were a few of the words that I'm like, that didn't quite translate the way I think we meant it.
Yeah.
It may be
Yeah, there's still some refinement with those words.
It may be beneficial to work with a translator, like who specializes in those languages, because with emotions or
Sure.
complex, so, seemingly simple words, there can be very complex translations.
Yes, for sure.
Right. And with that in mind, I guess, we have over 100 languages that are spoken in our public school system,
Yeah.
which in theory, those would be the people use in the library. So I think that there's some discerning that on your side that should happen about, which languages should be perhaps included. 100 languages seems like
Yeah.
impossible, right? But again, I think that's where, you're speaking with the librarian can really help you and guide you
Okay.
with that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Comments from council? No, we got that one from Bill. Okay. Well, I think those are all the comments. And again, we're looking here at, this is ideally the final presentation, right? That for this library on the artwork presented. So this would be the opportunity to talk about any other thing, okay? About both Heather's and Jessica's piece. With that in mind, do you have any final comments? No?
And Alamanique and Priscilla's.
Correct. Thank you. Okay, well, thanks. Thanks, Jessica. I think those were all the comments from council.
Thank you.
Okay, so now that's the last artist, so we can move on to
We need a motion.
the one. Yeah. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the proposals as presented, taking into account the feedback shared by the design council.
Thank you. Do we have a second for the motion? Emma, second set. Any discussion on the motion? No. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. So that means the projects for presented for Angelo and Alfred today can move on to production. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you, Jessica. Right, so we have one more item, and that is the review of bylaws. We do have 15 minutes left on the on the clock before noon, and we did go over a lot of information. Is there any desire to discuss this in the last 15 minutes, or is it something we want to table for our next meeting? Up to y'all.
I, as
Yes,
staff,
please.
propose tabling it, just with some other comments. So potentially a future board retreat or kind of just an administrative dump that staff can put on you in terms of reviewing bylaws, looking at CIP for next year. The budget process has begun, so I think there's an opportunity there, which is maybe a question I have for the group. Historically, it's been a subcommittee. Given the turnover that this council has taken, it might be worthwhile to do it as a full group, but would open that to how you want to do that. So we could look at bylaws, look at the CIP and allocations for next budget year. And the third thing I had, we are now doing some more defined annual reporting based on the city's new strategic plan for arts and culture that we adopted last year. So Jana has done a great job of kind of compiling everything that we did in public art for last fiscal year. And now we kind of have an annual report to set the bar on. So there's a lot of great data in that I think would be beneficial to present to this body. So you kind of know where we've come over the last couple of years and where our opportunities still lie. So I think that those three topics, CIP, bylaws, and kind of annual report would be a good kind of administrative topic list for potential retreat or future meeting where there might not be a heavy agenda.
Do we know, do you have any sense of what the agenda for next month is looking like?
And
I know gonna be, I know I will be presenting for Angelo.
We'll have
But-
Angelo, we'll have Rick Mobs for Rockwell. Those are the two that are looking.
And then probably
1 minute. I'll check it.
we'll come back. Or-
Yeah, Rockwell will be back for final design.
So we'll have a few pieces to look at again.
Semi-related as may arise is the Greenway Alliance that requested those 3 plaques that were presented last month. We anticipate them coming back at a future meeting. I don't know if it'll be next meeting. We garnered some more information on it, and the park board did approve that project. So now we have one board that did and one board that didn't. So we'll be bringing it back for hopefully to answer some of the questions that came up.
And there'll be somebody presenting.
We hope. Yeah, we've requested that.
Yes.
So.
Thank you. Well, I guess just with the knowing that we're gonna have Rockwell coming back and at least one more from Angelo.
Yeah, and then we will also have 90% design concept for Douglas, Seneca to Meridian, tentatively scheduled, and then 30% concept for the Red Mud Trail, Woodlawn K96.
Okay.
It'll be a full meeting,
Yeah. Okay.
very full.
I'll say we won't have the CIP list, any sort of draft, I would say, by March at the earliest. Do I have anyone in the audience have any idea of when we'll get the CIP list for next year? I would say March at the earliest before we'd have something to really go off of, but we can at least set a date for a retreat or a review session.
Okay.
At least start. It does take several meetings to kind of go through that. It's a big list.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful to delay, I mean, as a new council, to have a bigger picture.
Yeah, it really helps to kind of see the full CIP, this like the scope of all of the projects that could potentially get funding and the process of deciding what should get monies allocated. I think it really helps with you. Yeah. Okay, well, let's table this. If there's any other new business, then I move to adjourn the meeting. 7:51. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate everyone's input today. A lot of stuff.